Wow, was that lousy? Like, I don't even know what to say on this episode other than to maybe bark like a dog. Good morning to you. Good Friday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Penguins. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into football and or baseball, I also offer up daily shots of Steelers and Pirates where you found this. Maple Leafs 4, Penguins 1 here in Toronto, where the snow blanketing the place outside and forcing the team to stay overnight rather than flying home was basically just the icing on a really, really crappy cake. This was probably as flatline as it got for this group. Wow, going back to maybe that Washington game? Remember that one real early in the season? The one down in D.C.? That's all I can compare this to. There was nothing in the tank for this team. No idea why. No clue why. And infinitely more important than what I think, they didn't seem to know why either. Here's Mike Sullivan on the subject.
I don't know if I have an answer for you. We obviously didn't have our best. We just weren't good enough tonight. We didn't execute well enough. I don't think we were hard enough to play against. You can't give a team of that caliber the types of opportunities that we gave them tonight. I mean, they're a good hockey team. You got to give them credit, but I don't think we did as good a job on our part and doing what we needed to do to limit the quality of the chances that we gave up. And so it seemed like we were chasing the game right away.
And here's Sidney Crosby on the same subject.
Yeah, I think you got to learn from it, but obviously try to move by it. I think, we know we can be better and we got to execute better, and for whatever reason we didn't. But I think it was consistently, whether it was special teams or 5-on-5, we just didn't do a good enough job of executing. So it's hard to win games like that.
I mean, I kind of like that. I like let's just move on from it. He says you learn from it, but I don't know what you learned from it. There just wasn't anything there. The Maple Leafs, I thought, came out okay, not great. The whole game was a little bit disjointed. And the Penguins ended up putting a lot of pucks on Jack Campbell and making it look as if they were competitive in this one. They weren't at all in any capacity. And over an 82-game season, you're going to have total stinkers like this. You just will. And there's just not any additional analysis that's required. There just isn't. But you know what? I'm going to try to throw one small slice of analysis into the mix right after I share this. This portion of Daily Shot of Penguins is brought to you by the good people at the Greater Pittsburgh Community Food Bank, where they're committed to providing food for all of our neighbors in need across Western Pennsylvania. They, in turn, need your help. Find out how $1 can be turned into 5 full meals for those in need. Visit pittsburghfoodbank.org. Here's the one thing I feel like I can comfortably take away from this game. And that's that when your stars stink it up, and they did, I always feel like I have to preface anything that I say criticizing Sid with a respectfully ... Okay, respectfully ... He had a really rotten game. Evgeny Malkin scored the only goal, and he wasn't any better. Chris Letang, that had moments, looked like he was one of the few people who had his legs under him, and he wasn't any better. And when your stars aren't getting it done, I'm leaving a lot of people off the list here. I don't mean to single out anybody. Jake Gensel didn't have a good game. Brian Rust didn't have a good game. Just keep going and going and going and going. Forget that I even mentioned any names. But when you're not getting the best from your best, it's okay for someone else to show up. It's okay for someone else to produce. It's okay for someone else to at least make an energetic difference. And that didn't happen. There aren't difference makers on this team's bottom six. There just aren't. And I really wonder if that isn't something that the Penguins shouldn't be considering from the macro perspective, stepping back, not this game, and not even recent games where guys like Evan Rodriguez and so forth have had long slumps. Zach Aston-Reese, Dominic Simone. It's not about one lousy loss after a 4-game winning streak. It's about the general sense that if you're built, if you're founded on a 4-line, 3-pairing system that works best when everyone is involved, that's requiring everyone to be involved to compete at a contender's level, then you better make sure you have those. Oh, and another thing, you better make sure you're exhausting all of your options and you're not slamming doors in people's faces. I say this in part because the thought had crossed my mind in watching the optional morning skate that the team had here. Radim Zohorna's out there doing some pretty neat things. Drew O'Connor looks like he's healthy again. What exactly is the wait to get them back in the lineup, especially with Teddy Bluger already out, Jason Zucker already out? Why wouldn't this kind of time period and this position in the standings afford management, but also Mike Sullivan, the opportunity to at least see what you might have or might not have in other players? Not everything needs to be punitive. It doesn't have to be bench this guy, trade this guy. Regardless of how you feel about Aston-Reese, Simone, Rodriguez, I can easily throw Kasperi Kapanen into this discussion, although he was at least better here last night. And I could put forth, I feel, a really reasonable notion that you'd have more to gain as an organization, as a team that's building toward contention, by at least looking at other guys. I'm not naive. I'm not pretending that the Penguins are loaded with prospects and have them oozing all over the place. But I do like Zohorna. I do like O'Connor. And I really like the idea of seeing what it is that they've got. When we come back, just one question. Welcome back. It's time for Just One Question. That's brought to you always on this program by Fubo TV. The monthly cost of cable is over $200. Fubo TV is $65 a month to watch all the same channels, including AT&T Sportsnet Pittsburgh. And right now, Fubo TV is offering our listeners of this show a 7-day free trial and 15% off your first month. Just go to FuboTV.com/DK. FuboTV.com/DK. And today's J1Q comes from Dawn, who asks, I'm interested to hear your thoughts about Sully changing up the lines and whether or not that might have been the problem in this game. Dawn, no. The problem in this game was that the Penguins weren't remotely competitive in any category. There was just nothing to dissect here. I can't stress that enough. Now, to your question, the lines were mostly moved around to try to get Gino some help. And you saw Gino get the only goal of this game on what was a somewhat disjointed rush with him and Jeff Carter. but it was a disjointed rush that was held together by two really talented players continuously saving this rush as it went down the ice. I liked what I saw. I liked Danton Heinen's role. And I thought Heinen was one of the few players who looked like he did have his legs, meaning on the entire roster. So I feel like it's very much worth keeping together. And here, for the record, is what Sullivan had to say about that line afterward.
I thought they were decent. I thought they had some real good shifts after Gino scored in the third period in particular. I thought it was their strongest period, but I thought his line had more zone time. They were more of a threat, and so to answer your question, I thought they were pretty good.
Not an overwhelming endorsement, but they weren't as much of a catastrophe as the rest of the group. They did get the goal. They did create some chances. And Carter and Heinen were always going to be better fits with Gino. You asked Don about the lines in general and whether they might have had some impact on this. And I feel like, without repeating everything from the opening segment, I just want to say again that nothing stopped Rodriguez from having a good game, other than that he's been terrible. He committed 2 penalties, one of which gave the Maple Leafs a goal. Can't do that. If you're not scoring goals, I mean, you got to be an angel out there. You can't be going to the box. And it would have been okay for him to score. He had a couple opportunities, didn't really do much with them. The rest of the guys on the bottom 6 had some opportunities, didn't do anything with them. And that's why my main point here is it's feeling like it's time to see other people in that lineup. I brought this up with Sullivan after the game, and I'll leave my question in so you can hear how it was phrased.
Mike, you've got some guys obviously up front who haven't been scoring. We've seen occasional contributions and so forth. You've also got some guys getting healthy coming back. We've seen Zamorno and O'Connor and so forth. Are we getting to the point where maybe there's some pressure on certain players?
Well, there's always pressure in this league. That's the nature of what we sign up for. And when you have a competitive roster like our team, there's always going to be, there's always going to be an internal pressure to perform. And that's the nature of our business. And I would like to think it's not so much the pressure as it is just pushing one another to be at our best. And so without a doubt, I think when we're completely healthy, we have a very competitive roster, and that internal competition, I think, is a positive thing for our team. We're going to try to put the best players on the ice that give us the best chance to win, and that's what we try to do each and every night.
There's only so much shuffling you can do to make guys effective when they've gone months at a time without contributing. They're not sacred. They're not that important. They can sit for a while. I have a feeling they wouldn't/couldn't get mad about it. And even if they did, too bad. Try scoring once in a while. I appreciate the question. I appreciate everyone listening to Daily Shot of Penguins, presuming I ever make it home from this snowstorm that's got us all stuck up here in southern Ontario. We will have another show Monday.